If you thought the Trails series was finally over with the fourth Cold Steel entry that came out not too long ago, well, you'll be surprised or very happy to hear that no, it is indeed not totally over. The adventure of Rean and his friends continues and even brings in new and familiar faces, as you'll also be playing as Lloyd, the protagonist of the Crossbell series, as well as a new and mysterious character called C. Trails of Rary also serves as an introduction to the next entry in the series, Legend of Heroes Kuro no Kiseki, which could be translated to Trails in the Dark, but we'll see if that's right when it comes out in English sometime later. This new entry can feel a bit overwhelming at first due to the enormous amount of characters you have access to, but the game makes it more manageable by being split into 3 different routes, each having you take control of a different team, either Rean and his friends from Cold Steel, Lloyd's gang from the Crossbell series, and the final one being the mysterious new team of C. You can switch between the 3 routes at any time you wish, aside from a few occasional instances in the story where you will be forced to take control of a specific team in order to advance the others. Although the 3 routes play out in the same world at the same time, they all follow their own storyline inside the story and visit different areas and dungeons. Do they all converge together at some point? I'll leave that up to you to discover, but their storylines definitely are intertwined. There is also a new addition to the game that makes your massive party easier to manage, and that is the Reverie Corridor. This area, which you can access almost anytime you want, is a large additional dungeon in an alternate dimension where all of your characters from all 3 routes can share the same party and allow you to revise your large inventory of items and characters. The massive amount of characters could in itself be positive or negative for some people, as there are over 50 characters in total, which is even more than in Cold Steel 4, which already had a lot of characters. This is a huge amount to manage, especially considering there are a lot of items to equip in the game, from normal equipment to the extensive magic quartz system, which is so exhaustive it can take up to an hour to set up all of your characters. So it's a bit overwhelming at times to stay up to date with all of these party members, although you can, of course, simply choose to focus on your favorites of each team. It's fun, however, to have all of these characters from different Trails games interact together in the Reverie Corridor. If you've never played the Trails games though, the plot could be hard to follow, so it's definitely a game for fans. The Reverie Corridor is also a place where you'll find a lot of extra content, such as flashback cutscenes, optional bosses, costumes to unlock, swimsuit character events, and even some silly minigames, so it's definitely a fun place for a bit of fan service and to level up your teams. As with the other entries in the series, the battle system is still as fun and engaging as always, keeping it mostly unchanged from its original turn-based system, with the S-Crafts, Quartz and Magic, the BP system, and the orders and everything that keeps it fresh and exciting. There are also a few new attacks that look really cool, such as a new group attack where the whole party comes together to defeat enemies, which is always awesome to see. Overall, the battle system remains mostly the same, but it's one of the best of any recent RPG series, so if it isn't broken, it's best not to fix it.
It's my turn.
My only grip with the game, and it's pretty much the same with every new entry, is that once again you are revisiting the same old areas again and again. This may not bother everyone, but in my case, I feel like I'm due for some new scenery.
What excellent spirit.
Although I was really glad to finally revisit my very favorite place from the first games, the Islands, a vast and beautiful landscape where you get to ride on a horse, which always reminded me a bit of Zelda, although it does look kinda outdated now. There are also a few new areas to explore, but overall the locations feel very old and repetitive. Aside from a few very minimal puzzles in the dungeons where you move platforms, the gameplay is extremely linear and not very varied. It's the battle system that keeps the whole thing from being too monotonous, and also, of course, the extricate storytelling, as just like with the other entries, there are a lot of cutscenes, but if you've played the other games, you know what to expect, and it's pretty much the same.
We'll keep him occupied for you.
Graphic-wise, Trails into Reverie looks very similar to the other games, but you'll notice that it looks a bit better with cleaner character animations, and the large areas look crisp and vibrant. Although the series always still looked a bit like it came out from the PS3, the new entry finally looks like a proper PS4 game, and the PS5 version looks very good and plays perfectly, although it's hard to compare with RPGs like Final Fantasy XVI, as they are leagues apart, but Trials looks good in its own way. The English voice acting is awesome as usual, and almost fully voiced, which is always impressive. The music is catchy and fits the series, as with the other titles, although nothing memorable.
It's over for you!
All in all, Trials into Reverie is a great crossover title combining proper conclusions to fans' favorite adventures and characters from the Crossbell and Cold Steel sagas to a fun and engaging introduction to the next entry in the Legend of Heroes series. It's a huge game, sometimes even a bit too overwhelming with a massive roster of characters, and it has the same flaws as the other entries, but if you're a fan, you'll most likely love it, as it's the ultimate pinnacle of the series, being both an ambitious epilogue and prologue, and providing everything fans love about the series. However, if you're new, I would recommend starting with the first game, as this is definitely one for the fans.